Because Ottawa is the capital and there are a lot of embassies from a lot of different countries there, there's a lot of food from all over the world. I had Lebanese food a lot during lunch. I had Chinese. I had Korean food. Then we actually had East African food too, and that was really good. I think it was from I think it was Ethiopian. So, and that was really these flatbreads, and you took it and you dipped it into these sauces or these dips, and then you ate it with your hands. Everything was eaten with your hands. It was really, really good.
No fork, no spoon.
No fork, no spoon. Not for that. And otherwise, I mean, there's a lot of French influence. The closer you get to Quebec, they have a lot of open market where you can go, and they have lots of cheeses. Love the cheese. We really need a bigger cheese selection here in the United States. I love cheese. You know, got a lot of good brie and stuff like that, which is a kind of cheese. And then they make maple syrup over in Quebec, so I was eating maple syrup for with breakfast every day, and maple syrup's good. It's really good. There's even a small Chinatown in Quebec. It's more of a China street. There is only like one street of where it is. It's not big. I've been to New York, and New York's Chinatown is huge compared to what Ottawa's is. Apparently Montreal has a big one, and Toronto does, but not Ottawa, because Ottawa's not very big compared to the other cities. While I was in Chinatown, I actually found a Latin American store that sold Latin American groceries from Latin American countries, and found some Peruvian potatoes. So they were from Peru, and they're called chuño, and they're dried potatoes, and I actually brought some back with me. And you can see there's black chuño and white chuño. So the black has just not been washed after. And I actually tried cooking some of this. The reason I bought these was because I had found or tasted them in class for a modern Latin American history class at college, and I really liked them. And then I tried to actually cook these, and didn't go so well. It was actually pretty nasty.
Katie, what do they look like to you?
The brown ones or the white ones?
The brown ones?
Well, I mean, they look like dirty potatoes, very, very small, dirty, dried potatoes is what they look like, but they taste awful when Ryan and I cook them. I'm sure where people actually know how to cook them, they taste wonderful. Ryan had them in class, and he said they were great, and that's why he wanted to get them.
Yeah.
But we tried to make it.
But the ones we had in class were out of a can, so they were already sliced,
yeah,
and they were in a can. These are dried.
And the white ones might be okay because they don't have the dirty skin on them, but these still have like Peruvian dirt on them. So you soak them, and then you have to peel off that skin. It smells disgusting. It tasted terrible. But these white ones, I bet the white ones would taste a lot better than the brown ones, or black ones. We call them black ones.
Yeah.
I was excited to go to Egypt and try the food. I love to eat, and I love to try different foods. So I thought, being on the Mediterranean, we would have a little bit of a Mediterranean diet, which would include more seafood, be a little bit more interesting, definitely be different from what we eat here on a regular basis. Turns out, Egypt has their food is heavily influenced by the African food and culture. So it's bland, and a lot of bread, a lot of rice. They do meat, some meat, and I couldn't tell you exactly what because we didn't always ask what we were eating. But a lot of times they would put fresh fruits and vegetables on top of their food, which sounds good, but we couldn't eat that because the water there is we can't drink the water there because of the bacteria, and it would make us sick. So we couldn't eat fresh fruits and vegetables that had been washed in their water. And if they had fresh fruit and vegetables, they were almost always washed in their water. So we actually had to stay away from a lot of the meat because they would put the fresh vegetables on top of the meat. So we ate a lot of rice and a lot of bread. And we, even on the train, we did take a train to travel when we went to Mount Sinai in the Sinai Peninsula, and on the train, I thought maybe it'd get a little better. We get our breakfast tray, and there's a piece of bread, and there's a muffin, which is bread, and then there's a little croissant, which is bread, and there was another selection of bread of some sort, like a pancake or something. I mean, it was all bread, and bread. So I got a little old. If you like bread, it was good, but the breads weren't interesting. If you go to France and you get all these different types of bread, I mean, it was just bread, just bland bread. But
Well,
it was a good cultural experience.
and you would advise everybody to go there if they possibly could, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, I would definitely go there. And you know, it's also possible if we had gone up to Alexandria, which is farther north in Egypt and closer to the Mediterranean, it's possible that up there we would have more of a Mediterranean diet where you would have more seafood and food that was more interesting than bread and rice.
Let me, of course, you're not complaining, are you? You're just discussing this.
Well, no, I'm not complaining at all, but it was funny. The last day of the trip, we were so tired of bread and rice, we came across a Hard Rock Cafe in Egypt, and we were so excited to finally have American food, something that seemed familiar. And we get in there and we sit down, we start looking at the menu, and it has burgers and fries, and we are excited to have a burger that tastes American. Yeah, well, they see a big group of Americans come in, they decide that we are VIPs, or very important people, and they bring out an entire buffet line for the VIP group, and it's all Egyptian food. We were so disappointed.
But this makes for great memories, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's the surprises that come along with international travel that I want these kids to think about having. Now, look here. What do you think about when you think about international travel and you see bottled water? I want you guys to talk about this. Now, Ryan, maybe in Canada it's not such an issue, but it is in most places. Katie, go ahead. Either one of you.
Well, like I already said, the water in Egypt was not drinkable for us. We couldn't even brush our teeth with their water. We had to take a bottle of water, pour it over a toothbrush to get it wet, put our toothpaste on, brush our teeth, and then to rinse it off, we had to use bottled water. We couldn't use their sink. We really didn't even want to touch their water at all. And we would wash our hands in their water, but then you wouldn't want to wash your hands in their water and stick your finger in your mouth. I mean, the same thing.
And I just want to say that one of the reasons I'm interviewing you guys today is because a lot of the things that we're talking about would be the same if you went to a Spanish-speaking country. We talked about some of the Peruvian potatoes down there that you said earlier looked like poop. The dark ones you said looked like poop, and you didn't
smell like.
They even smell like it to you.
Well, the ones that we tried to make.
But the people would run into most of the same things that you ran into, and that is why we're talking about this even in a Spanish class. It doesn't matter what the country or the language is sometimes. Many of these things are just a matter of knowing how to get around in this world. So go ahead with the water.
Yep. Well, I was just going to say, lucky for us, and I would say lucky in a tourist way, it really was, because we needed water on the trip. You're in the middle of a desert, and it wasn't as hot as people think the desert would be, but we needed water, and we couldn't drink their water. And so lucky for us, we had a bus driver who liked to take care of us, and he would get cases of water for us. And so we would pay him 50 cents for a bottle of water, and we would take water out with us every day, and we would take it into our room so that we could brush our teeth, take any type of medicine. A lot of us took medicine that would kind of counteract the bacteria that would be in the water in case we did eat something. But we did have to take bottles of water everywhere. Every day we took bottles of water with us because we didn't want to come near the water that they had there.
Because you weren't used to it, but they were.
Yes, they can drink it. They can eat the fresh fruit that's washed in the and vegetables that are washed in their water. They can drink it out of a glass, but we can't. We couldn't even drink their juice because they'd make the juice with their water. But they could eat it just fine, or drink it just fine. It wouldn't bother them.
Ryan, was water an issue? Was there anything interesting about the water up there?
The water's pretty good. I drink out of the water fountains all the time, and I don't think I ever bought a bottle of water, so the water was not an issue.
They don't have water fountains in Egypt.
No water fountains in Egypt?
No, I don't think so. Now that I think about that, not even in a tourist place.
The problem with the water fountains in the parliament is the buttons were on the left side. I'm not used to that. Instead of being on this side, I had to drink from over here, and it was freaking me out. I was really weirded out. I'm going, everything's backwards.
But see, that helped make it interesting too, didn't
Yeah, it did. I even told one of the guys in the office, I was like, "What's wrong with your water fountains? They're backwards." And he goes, "What? Aren't they like that in the United States?" No.
Going to another country opens you up to see cultures, and by cultures I mean languages and the style of clothing that people wear, and religions that are practiced, lifestyle, how they live in their homes, everything. There are so many cultures that you get to experience when you step out of the country that you've grown up in and you've never left, and it opens your eyes to see that the world is so much bigger than your hometown where you grew up, and it allows you to appreciate cultures and allows you to appreciate and respect people here in the United States who have come from these other cultures, and it can help you understand why they may do things a little bit differently than you do or than I do, and that respect and that appreciation is important in order for them to feel comfortable living here next to you. Maybe your neighbor is from somewhere else, and we want to make sure that they feel respected and appreciated as well.
I would recommend anyone to go to another country and to study, abroad, because you get to, as like Kate said, you get to experience all these things, but you also get to realize how lucky you are to be in the United States. And I really enjoyed living in Canada for a month and being there, but it costs a lot to live there, and I like not paying as high taxes on the stuff I buy. I went to France, and they also have I went to France during the time that Kate had went to Egypt. I was in a different class, and the prices are a lot higher on things that we don't pay very much for, and it's really, I really enjoy United States. Now that I've come back from those experiences, I really respect and enjoy and love our own country. Canada is an awesome country, and it really is studying abroad, so you should study there.
Ryan, are you going to be okay with the water fountains if you go back up there? That whole experience with the water fountains must have been terrible. Is it going to be okay, though? I mean, you think you're going to be all right?
Yeah, I've actually been to counseling for it, and so what they had me do is actually use the water fountain in my left hand and be able to drink like this, and I'm really good at it now. So I think if I go up there, I'm now ambidextrous when it comes to water fountains.
So you're not real messed up from that experience?
No. Yeah, it took a while. I kept bumping my head and getting water on the back of my head every time I tried to drink out of water fountains here for a while, but I got that worked out, so we're all good.
I'm so happy for you.